Uncle Mark,
Here I am. That's what Abraham said.
here am I.
You're so Abrahamic, is
Thank
what you are.
I'm Abrahamic. Abrahamish.
There are times when I don't know what's going on.
That's called all the times.
I don't even know what's about to happen on a show that I am a part of.
Spontaneity is the spice of podcasting.
Yes,
Actually, no, it's not. But anyway, let's see what Uncle Dan has in store for us.
Yeah, this one's a
Yes,
mystery.
I specifically haven't told you guys what I'm actually doing this on because there's a little. It's not a quiz at the beginning, but I'm going to be a little mysterious at the beginning.
All right, good.
The other day, I was driving around in a Salt Lake City cemetery, and I came upon a headstone that it intrigued me. Big black granite with white writing, and like so many headstones in our fair city, it mentioned a religion. So let's see if this sounds familiar. Because this religion was founded in the mid-1800s. It sprang up out of the dominant religion, but its doctrine and practices diverged quite a bit. It began with a young man who didn't like how the sects around him practiced. So there were a lot of crazy offshoots happening. Like, for instance, a nearby group was claiming that the Redeemer was coming soon, etc. So our guy prayed for wisdom, and God told him that he would start the new true religion. He soon had a follower who became convinced that he was indeed a great prophet of God, and this follower was amazed at his wisdom and shocked at how quickly he produced documents of the Word of God. And before you knew it, these revelations had attracted thousands of followers. But his success and his radical new take on religion and some fairly radical ideas within his word rankled the local government, and he eventually found himself arrested and then killed. Now, after his death, there was a hubbub over who his successor would be. Schism occurred. One man eventually emerged as the clear dominant winner of that battle, and he took his multiple wives and started a sect that became one of the fastest growing religions in the world throughout the 19th and 20th centuries. As a matter of fact, this faith is the only religion to have grown faster in every United Nations region over the past 100 years than the general population.
What?
So, by now, it should be clear what religion I'm talking about, right? I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
That founder that I was talking about, his name is Bob. Oh, sorry. That founder's name is The Bab, spelled B-A-B, which is Arabic for the gate. And the successor's name is Baha'u'llah, which is Arabic for the keymaster. Just kidding. The religion that was founded in Persia is a radical offshoot of Islam and is called Bahá'í.
Oh.
See, I was so stuck on the local headstone. I'm like, okay,
So was I.
Yeah, this is a Mormon offshoot of some kind, right?
Yeah.
But then I found out it wasn't.
I tricked you.
You did trick me.
What's funny is that that headstone is just a standalone headstone, and it's not for a person. It's in the Mount Olivet Cemetery, and it just says Baha'i. It's just, look, we exist. We're the Baha'i.
Is that hello and goodbye at the same time?
It is. Yes.
It's like aloha.
Exactly.
It's the aloha of shaloms.
It's exactly. Yeah. Traditionally, you would say Baha'i, how you doing? But so that was obviously a broad strokes look at the history. So let me just fill in a few of the gaps. The Bab, B-A with an accent B, or however you write it in Arabic, was born in Persia in 1819. He began his charismatic leader journey in his early 20s and was executed at age 30. But for such a short life, he had a pretty big impact, and he was prolific. Now, according to him, he claimed to have written over 500,000 verses of text.
Wow.
For context, the Quran is under 7,000.
Wow.
Unfortunately,
you know what? I want to belong to a religion with more rules than fucking Islam.
I didn't say
like
rules.
a lot.
I said text.
Okay.
So, and there's some importance there. Unfortunately for the Babists, most of his writings seem to have been lost. His writings started as interpretations of the Quran and Hadith, but as he progressed, he moved more toward expounding on the metaphysical and the philosophical. There is some dispute about what the Bab said. Just like with Joseph Smith and the various offshoots after he died, the Baha'i aren't the only people to claim lineage from the Bab. There are Babists who went in another direction, but they don't have the numbers that the Baha'i have, so they lose at history. Boo. Sorry.
Are they Baha'lo?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Is this on? Hello?
They're the boy howdy.
Anyway, the Baha'i story is that the Bab said that every now and then an important person came along to give the world the spiritual teachings that it needs for that time. Jesus, the Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, Abraham, these were all prophets of God who gave necessary messages for their time. He taught that a new guy was coming. Get ready. Then he taught that he was that guy, but the Baha'is just ignore that part and move on to Baha'u'llah.
Oh.
So, Baha'u'llah...
Thank God. I thought you were going to talk about Abraham again, and I've had just about enough of that guy.
Oh, no. Believe me, you joke, but you're the one that's going to torture us with that. So let everybody do gird your loins.
Yeah, dig in.
For the last little bit. And technically, the only tie-in I've got is that this is, if we're going to be technical, an Abrahamic religion of sorts.
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah, if it's a Muslim offshoot, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Baha'u'llah was a contemporary and follower of the Bab. He was actually a couple years older than the Bab was. Even though there were over 20 dudes that proclaimed themselves to be the prophet or divine physician that the Bab had prophesied about, 13-ish years after the Bab died, Baha'u'llah grabbed that brass ring and he kept it. And that's how the Baha'i faith was born. So, what do the Baha'is believe? Well, considering the soil that they sprung out of, they have some pretty decent founding ideas. Pretty woke for considering. We'll get to it, but considering there's some pretty interesting stuff there. They start with the three unities, or far more clunkily, but they like it anyway, the three onenesses. So there's the oneness of God. That's
but
pretty
there's
easy.
three of them. That's kind of like the never-ending story part 2.
Right. Right?
It's a bit of a joke. But go
Well,
on.
there's the three onenesses, and then the 4 twonesses, and the 5 penises. So the first oneness is the oneness of God.
Goodbye, Baha'i listeners.
Yes, exactly. Well,
all one of you.
Yeah, exactly. So the oneness of God is pretty simple. There's one God. So there you go. He, she, it doesn't care what you call it. Allah, Jehovah, Great Spirit, Roger, whatever. Everybody that worships that same God, whether they know it or not. Then there's the oneness of religion. So despite everything you've heard and all the fighting that's happened throughout human history and all of the crap that has gone on, there's really just one religion. And it's just that religion is revealed in bits and pieces through progressive revelation. So what if that means that countless millions have died arguing over idiotic minutia? So what if that means that crucial knowledge was withheld from billions of people for millennia? They got the info that was useful at the time.
Great.
Eventually, it will all come together, and we'll get it. You'll see.
Well, that's why you have baptisms for the dead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. A very popular Baha'i practice. And the final oneness is oneness of humanity. Now, this concept is actually where they take off in a pretty cool direction. When you hear Baha'i people talk, basically, here's how it works. They're pretty all in on the idea of equality when it comes to things like race, gender, etc. They talk about income equality, and they talk about social justice. And considering that this was coming out of the Middle East in the 1800s, I think that's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah.
There are some other pretty neat notions in the Baha'i faith. They value science, for example, because they're not tremendously dogmatic. This isn't a big problem for them, as it is for other monotheistic religions. Baha'u'llah talked about the religion and science being two wings of a bird, and only with both, he said, could humanity truly soar. So that's nice,
Yeah,
I guess.
like that.
At least there's room for new information to come in without them having to contort themselves into pretzels trying to solve, square the circles. He said, for example, religion without science is superstition. Science without religion is materialism. So, at very least, I agree with the first half of that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what his problem with materialism is, other than, whatever. I mentioned earlier that the Baha'is believe that the prophets are, quote, divine physicians. Their job is to perceive the disease and prescribe the remedy for the time. Baha'u'llah said, "Be anxiously concerned with the needs of the age you live in, and center your deliberations on its exigencies and requirements." Okay.
All right.
That's fine with me. Like, I have no problem with that notion. Figure out what is needed now and work on it.
Sure.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
So there you go. They have no clergy. Everybody is pretty much on their own to interpret the texts. And I learned that, actually, when I visited their temple in Delhi, in India. There's a really cool, if you Google the Lotus Temple.
Yeah, some of their architecture is really awesome.
They have some really neat stuff.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there's there's a couple of things. There's a shrine to the Bab, which they claim is where they've interred his. They stole his remains and brought it to. I think it's in Haifa, or it's somewhere in what's now Israel.
Oh, really?
And it's a beautiful shrine.
Huh.
But yeah, I went to the Lotus Temple, which is gorgeous on the outside, a little bit humdrum on the inside, to be perfectly honest, but still a really cool place. Now, there are some caveats to how neat the Baha'i people are. While they are incredibly, racially welcoming, and they talk a really good game about being super pro equality for women. The main organizational body, which is known as the Universal House of Justice, excludes women. So
that's the one. That's where. Who is it? You got Superman. You got
Superman.
Aquaman,
You got Batman.
the Wonder Twins.
But Wonder Woman is actually technically not allowed.
Right. Gotcha.
So yes, they will talk a lot about equality for women, and they do work hard in that direction. But there is that glaring oversight there. There are also sex restrictions, which pisses me off. When you've got a group that's so forward-thinking, to have a prohibition of sex before marriage is frustrating. And it gets even more frustrating because marriage is only between a man and a woman.
Classic.
Which means
classic.
No gays.
Yeah.
So they can talk all day about equality till they're blue in the face and about openness and about one humanity and blah blah blah. But if you like to boink somebody who looks like you're fucker hole.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how progressive a religion claims to be. At some point, religion just clogs the pump, right?
Yep.
It's so true.
The river of progress is dammed up by some stupid old idea.
Yeah. I mean, and they came up out of Islam. So this is, again,
it's
I give
kind of a
them
miracle
props.
that they're this progressive if it's from Islam, but still.
It is a bummer, though, that you get so close on some things.
Yeah.
And you miss so big on some others. It's just like, God damn it.
Well, And when you talk a good line about being really super into science, and when you have that there, you have to be willing to take what the science is telling you. And guess what? The science tells you about sexuality and about trans issues and all that stuff.
Yeah,
the science is clear, and if you're going to pretend like you guys are super into science, you gotta go with it. Also, they don't drink. I don't really care that much about that, but that's a thing. So, very forward-thinking for 19th century Muslims, but only kind of okay by any kind of Abrahamic religion standards now.
But see, isn't that exactly the problem? Is you could be progressive for your time, religiously speaking, but you will inevitably not be progressive in 50 or 100 or 200 years. And because you're a religion, you're always going to be stuck in first gear. You're never going to be able to just, you know what? We were wrong about this. Let's make a change. Oh, we're wrong about that. Let's fix it. No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the problem is that, you've got these writings of men claiming to be mouthpiece of God. And when you have anyone who says, I'm the mouthpiece of God, and then they write something down, it's fucking set.
Yeah.
So then you're just stuck with this writing, and unless this mouthpiece of God has the foresight to say all of this is subject to change, society will advance and will learn things, and then you've got to change my words.
Yeah.
When you get to that, and here's a mechanism for doing that, in a way that doesn't hurt people. Yeah, you like you say, you're stuck in first gear for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, one of the few, like, at least progressive, I know it's progressive, but interesting things embedded in Islam is at the beginning of the Quran where it says that which is not expressly forbidden is permitted.
Right.
And it's it's a way of saying, well, if it's not in here, then it's just do what you want to do, right? But you're right. Prophecy just freezes. When you say something's prophetic and from God, it just freezes a certain moray in time at that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you're done.
Yeah, and you're done. And, we've watched the Mormons scramble like crazy with things like whatever Brigham Young ever said.
We're about to watch him scramble some more for this very reason.
Yeah. Prophecy. I'm again it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. Just thought I'd introduce us all to the nicer Muslims.
Yeah.
That still don't quite have it all figured out.
Here's our unified field theory of the quote unquote good religions, and it can be summed up as this: could be worse, right?
Right.
Could definitely be worse.
Yeah.
So yay for the Bahá'í.
It's funny. One of the things that I watched in researching this was a video created by Rainn Wilson, who
who's
people
Bahá'í.
know as Dwight Schrute from The Office, who is apparently a Bahá'í. So there you go.
Yeah, he was raised Bahá'í, and he loves it very much. He's like, it's really a huge force in his life. And I seem to recall that they've been persecuted rather terribly in some other Muslim countries, haven't they?
Oh, yeah. Well, you say anything about, maybe Muhammad didn't have all of the answers. Yeah, you're not gonna be treated well.
You're gonna get some lashes. Expect lashes.
Yeah,
right? You're gonna get some genocide.
You're gonna get heads are gonna roll. So all right, cool.
Right.
Well, Bahá'í guys.
But see you later.